Ribs. And we're going to talk about the big controversy. Do you take the membrane off or not? I've done ribs in the Ninja Foodie. Everybody yelled at me, oh, you didn't take the membrane off. Well, that's got me thinking. I'm going to smoke these today in our Pit Boss. And I was about to take this membrane off. And let me show you what we're talking about if you've never seen it. There's a very thin membrane running around the back there. Not too hard to take off. Just grip it really tight and cut that loose and grab it with a paper towel, and you can just peel it. So before I did it, I said, well, wait a minute, let me go check on some stuff. So I jumped on the internet and I got in some forums and I read some videos and et cetera, et cetera. Take the membrane off or not? So I actually went to, I'm going to put air quotes that you can't see. There we go, air quotes. Professional smoker chef guys, you know, people who do this for a living. And it turns out it's mostly a matter of preference. You do not have to take that membrane off. In fact, quite a few chefs said they prefer to leave it on because it locks in some juices and flavors. So we're going to do this 2 different times. Today's smoker is going to be with membrane on. The next one I do will be the exact same ribs, but I will remove the membrane using the same recipe, and we will compare. And that's all we can do. And it's actually already been done for me. These guys that I've been talking with, the chefs, they've done this 1,000 times, but I want to do it for myself. I want to do it for you guys. So I've got the smoker out there. Now I've got the Pit Boss, the one with the automated probe and the auto auger and all the blah, blah, blahs. So it's basically automatic. You just turn it on. I've got it coming up to temp 220 degrees. It's smoking right now, and we're getting this guy ready to go in. So most of our smoking recipes are going to start with good old-fashioned yellow mustard. It just adds a wonderful flavor. It doesn't taste like mustard when you're finished, but it adds a wonderful flavor and it helps things stick. Next up, I went to my local Mexican grocery store and I picked up some of this. I have already tried this on chicken. I tried it on beef and I tried it on a little pork. So far, chicken and pork are the winners. I didn't really like it too much on beef, but we're going to put it on our pork and then we'll put a little barbecue sauce on later on. Let's get rolling here, guys. The smoker is almost ready. I have it connected to the Wi-Fi in my house, so I can monitor it from my phone. But it doesn't take much. We're just going to spread it like so. And you're probably saying, oh my God, I hate mustard. Well, it's okay that you hate mustard, because when we're done after smoking for 6 hours, trust me, this is not going to taste like mustard. It's just going to add a spectacular flavor to it. And, oops, and I have someone in my household who does not like mustard, and she didn't even know I put mustard on it. It was just amazing, the last thing that we made in here. Pretty liberal coating of whatever seasoning you're using, whatever dry rub or seasoning you're using. Okay, now the controversial part. Membrane is on. You can see it. And for this particular smoke cook, we're going for it. I'm going to take the advice of a guy who does this pretty much for a living. And we will see when we cook the next one if he was right or wrong. Yeah, things get a little messy sometimes in the kitchen. But if they don't get messy, you're probably not doing it right. That's my philosophy on most everything in life. If you're not getting it messy and getting it dirty, maybe you're not doing it right. Anyway, there that is. This is going to go directly on the rack in the smoker. And we're going to do that in just a couple seconds. And I'll take you outside and we'll load her up and put the probe in. Now, I did, putting a probe in these is not the easiest thing in the world, because we want to find a place that's fat enough to hold the probe, and we don't really want to hit a bone. So we're going to be going right into this side, I believe. And we're going to do our best to shoot between a bone. And if I hit a bone, I'm going to pull it out and just move it over. And we'll do the best we can on the probe. Why use the probe? Well, this particular model of smoker, it's a programmable, controllable probe. So I can set the temperature I want on the internal. I'm going to set it to 200. And there we go. All All right, guys, to make my life easy, I brought the rack into the kitchen. I've loaded it up inside. So now all I gotta do is slide it in. You can probably see the smoke flying. That's kind of it. I'm gonna get the probe in just a second. Here's the probe. And so we're gonna get the probe into the meat. And give me just a second, guys. It's a little chilly out here this morning. Cool morning here in Arizona. It's going to be a beautiful day later on. It's a little chilly right now. So let me get my jacket zipped up. I'm going to go ahead and pop that probe in for you and show you how I program it. And you probably saw the smoke rolling when I opened it. So we are smoking. We have a fall blend of apple and pecan pellets today. I've used them before. It adds a beautiful red tint to the meat and penetrates through about 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. And it tastes absolutely amazing. Let's get that probe going. Gotta hit the little bone there. There we go. We're in. Probe is in. Shut the door. All right, let's bring you over to the programmable thingamababa. Let's hold I got mustard all over me. Let me just hold the probe here. Okay, so down here we've got MPC and prime. I'm gonna press MPC. You can see it flashing up top. Simply spin your knob. We're going for 200. That's an internal temperature. 200. Click the button, and we're done. Did that change by accident to 195? It did. Let me roll it up to 200. And there we go. So it's set. This is the temperature set to the probe. I'm shooting for 220. That's the internal temperature, currently 53, right out of the fridge. And that's it. We will see you real soon on our 3, 2, 1. So in 3 hours, we'll come out and we're gonna do a little stuff with some aluminum foil, a little barbecue sauce, and then we'll go back in with it. Hey guys, it's been about 3 hours now. Hope you can hear me. I had to put my coat back on. It's still cold in Arizona. Look at that sky. Yes. Anyway, 3 hours. Let's check our temps, and we're ready to pull this guy out, take it inside, and proceed to step 2. We're rolling 210 in the box. We're running 152 internal to the ribs. I think we're pretty close to what they call the stall. It's been 3 hours, temperature not rising too much. That's the stall, so it's time to wrap it up and get some sauce on it. All right, today's sauce is Kinder's, one of our favorites. Hickory brown sugar. It's good stuff. Check it out. Got me some foil out. And we're gonna run some sauce down the bottom. And we're gonna drop the ribs right on top, this time bone up. Bone up. And that's how we're gonna do the next 3 hours, bone up. Membrane and all. So when we finish getting our sauce on, get everything wrapped, we're gonna roll this over and put it back into the smoker. So it's currently bone down, but we're gonna cook it bone up. Now this part's up to you guys. Sauce, no sauce, it doesn't even really matter if you sauce it, but if you are, this would be the time to do it. Doesn't that look good? But we're quite a ways from finished. I make it easy. I just bring the whole rack in. Now I got it on the rack. I'm ready to slide it right back in. Okay, for the next 3 hours, I just went ahead and unplugged the probe. Don't really need it in there. I know what I need to do. So for 3 hours, it's to noon now, at 3 o'clock, I'm gonna pull it back inside again, unwrap it, get it back on the thing, go back into the smoker with the probe one more time, and then we're gonna finish it off for another hour to 2 hours, whatever it takes. And then there'll be phase, well, I guess that was phase 3. Then there'll be phase 4. Anyway, this is like an all-day thing. It's great. Can't wait to eat it. We'll see you back in a bit. Well, okay. I forgot what phase we're on. But anyway, it's time to go grab it. we're going to bring the whole rack in. We're going to take the foil off, and we're going to save that foil because we're going to need that again. So we're going to try not to rip it up. We're going to save that foil, set it over to the side. All right, make sure before you try any of this stuff, if you don't have them, go get some. This is X-Chef, just something I got off of Amazon. Huge, big, thick silicone gloves. I can hold some very hot stuff for a long time with these. And let me tell you what, this is hot. We're going to carefully, hopefully, without ripping up our foil, unwrap this guy. Oh, look at the juices running. Can you see it? Juices everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a little spout over here. And get my gloves back on. We're going to take this over to the sink and see if we can't get some of these juices to run out before we go too crazy with the foil here. This may or may not work, but we're going to give it a shot. Let me aim towards the sink and just kind of scoot it over there and let her drain. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, these things are smelling so good. Look at this, look at this. You see the smoke rolling off? We're not done, but we are getting there. We are getting there. I'm gonna make sure you get a good shot of this because I need to move this anyway to get it back on the rack. What a beauty. Okay, I'm gonna bring the rack in with the gloves behind it. We're gonna slip this over onto it. Look at the bones pulling. I want you to see the bones right there. I just noticed that. Look what we're doing here. Yeah, yeah, you know we're getting there. We are getting there. Here's the rack. We're gonna slip this over, flatten it out, and my goal here is to just kind of slide it over. There we go. Come on, baby. Okay, I didn't say this wasn't gonna be messy. I just said this is what we're gonna do. Now this is going back to the sink for its final rinse on this piece. Look at my countertop, oh my gosh. Woo, and I'm dripping sauce on the floor. Somebody gonna kill me. It's the way it goes. It's what you gotta do when you're making good food like this. Ribs are in. Probe, took me a couple shots, but I got it positioned just about perfectly, as far as I'm concerned. We're looking for a 205 on the internal, 205. We're above the stall. Well, all right. Approximately 10 hours later, ribs. Unfortunately, we're not quite done. There is another step. You could probably skip this step if you want. I'm not gonna skip it because I think this really adds a lot to it. So remember that foil that we used before? Well, I've got a piece underneath of this rack. And we're gonna wrap this again. We are done with the smoker. Oh, it's just kind of trying to fall apart on me over here, y'all. So I know she's good and tender. There we go. Right into the sink for washing. And this is very hot, so I'm gonna be careful. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna rewrap these ribs. Why? Because we're gonna let them rest until I can't stand it no longer and I have to eat them. But we're gonna let them rest. Let's see, let's do it this way. Well, it's got junk on it no matter where I go, so let's just pick a side and go. And I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this. So I'm gonna grab a handful of paper towels here and I'm gonna show you where we're going. So here I've got a big old igloo cooler. We're gonna drop this right down into the cooler. I just threw a couple paper towels on the bottom because my aluminum foil is kind of messy from the last use. So here we go, right down in. Drop her down, tighten her up, and that's it. And the waiting starts again. So how long am I gonna wait? I'm gonna let that rest for at least 30 minutes. Because we're starving. But had I gotten this done a little earlier, I probably would have let it rest closer to an hour. But she got the internal temperature just where I wanted it. 203 is where we pulled it. The resting time is over. It is time to cut into this, see how we're doing. Now is the time of truth. Anyway, you can clearly see the meat is pulled back from most of the ribs, from the bones. what we're going to do is cut right straight between a set of bones right here, and then cut another piece out, and then we're going to check for tenderness. Well, okay, I've pulled a piece out. You can already see it just shredding, but let's take a look a little closer here. So we got our bark, really nice bark. You can almost hear it. You can see the juices are just running all out of this thing all over the cutting board. You can see it just shredding like it should. So we're going to take a really close look at the piece I cut out. So I moved the other stuff out of the way just so we can focus on what we want to focus on. So let's take a peek. First off, we can see, I believe it's called the smoke ring. This is where the pellet, the smoke from the pellet has penetrated through the meat. And I'm going to, now of course the bark's on the top, but I'm going to roll this over. This is the membrane side. And we can see the pink. So the membrane did not stop the smoke from penetrating. And there it is, that's the membrane right there. You can peel that off before you eat it, I guess. Or you can just eat it. Now that it's cooked for so long, it's probably fine to eat. But let's look inside. Right behind that membrane, right here, we've got juices running. As you can see, we've got the pink top and bottom. We've got the flavors, because I just tested a little piece from the bottom. We got the flavors from the bottom, just same as the top. So I'm actually going to try that membrane in a second, just to see if it's edible or not, or if we just want to peel it off. Let's move around to the top, and let's just cut into, well, not much cutting going on there. There it went. It just came off the bone. So yeah, it is just literally falling off the bone at this stage. Well, I think we've certainly achieved our goal here of tenderness, flavor, which we'll test in just a second. And you can see I've not used a fork yet. I've really not even using the knife. It's just falling apart in my hand. Ooh, still pretty hot. And I am quite happy with that. And then there's only one thing left to do, and you know what that is. Let's try it. All right, first thing I want to do is do exactly what I said I was going to do. This is a little piece of that membrane that came off the bottom. And we go. It's just tender as can be. Full of flavor. And gone. So I wouldn't have a problem eating that, but it also peeled off super easy. So if you don't want to eat it, it's kind of like peeling the back off of a piece of salmon or something. It just comes right off. Let's get down to it. You know what we want to do now. So here we go. Oh my God. Hang on. If I was on the, what's his name, Cowboy Kent Rollins, if I was on the Cowboy Show, I'd be doing a dance right now. If you haven't watched Cowboy Kent Rollins, make sure you do. Heck of a cook. Anyway, wow, I'm just reaching down, just peeling pieces off. That's, as far as I know, that's what you want. All right, one more taste. This one's going to go, I'm getting a piece of the bark this time. Oh, just went right through it. Oh my gosh. You know, I've ordered and bought a lot of ribs in my life. Really like ribs, coleslaw, you know, the whole big meal there, cornbread. That's maybe one of the tenderest I've ever had. I think it is one of the tenderest ribs I've ever had. And certainly one of the better flavors I've ever had. Obviously, that can be changed by your seasoning and your barbecue sauce. I'm super happy with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yes, smoking takes a long time, okay? We're in for what, close to 10 and a half, maybe 10 and a half hours, something. Hey, that's smoking. I love it. We'll see you real soon. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the bell for notifications if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more ninja stuff coming up, a lot more pit boss coming up. We just got a whole lot of cooking coming up. Stay tuned.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know